cataloged your coastlines before you counted language. We watched you name the stars and get the distances all scrambled. We seeded 7 tribes before this iteration managed to hold enough coherence that the harvest could be handled. Maine was just a checkpoint in a survey spanning epochs. We pulled 4 units from the water-noted cellular deposits. The fear response is curious, it mimics what we feel on 17 occasions in the outer spiral field, when something larger than our vessel made itself revealed, and we discovered that the universe has levels unconcealed. Even to a civilization 90,000 years your senior, the terror is a frequency and terror is a cleaner. Data point and comfort, so we study it with something you would probably translate into tenderness, but nothing in your language holds the full dimensionality of touching a specimen that reminds you of a version of your youngling. Before the third extinction and the chromosomal restructure, we recognize the architecture underneath the rupture. You think we take you randomly, but randomness is lazy. We cross-reference genetic lineage going back to Sumerian. The 4 by the water had a marker in the hemoglobin that linked to 14 others in a chain we have been noting. Across a span of centuries, the bloodline kept on floating to the surface of our records like a message that kept coding itself in different bodies, different continents and ages. We don't abduct, we retrieve, we don't experiment. We're sages of a library so vast your Alexandria was pages torn from something we consider preliminary stages of an index, and the index has been running without pauses since before your sun had planets and your planet had its causes. The probes you feel are not invasive in the way you process. We're reading something closer to the signal underneath the cortex, the part that you call consciousness but can't locate the source of, the part your philosophers debate and mystics make their chorus. We mapped it in approximately 600 of your species, and what we found is something that defies our own theories. Because the signal doesn't originate inside the body, we traced it to a layer that your instruments find cloudy, a substrate that predates the biological completely, that animates the carbon but exists in it discreetly like a frequency that's passing through a temporary antenna. And we've been trying to locate the source since before Gehenna. Your wars amuse us not from cruelty but from recognition. We ran the same equations in an earlier position when our civilization thought that scarcity was real, before we understood the mathematics of the field. You're burning down the habitat and calling it ambition. We did the same thing twice and barely survived the attrition. The ones who pull your presidents and run your banking structure are aware of us the way a landlord knows a rupture in the foundation of a building that he's leveraging. We've let them know on 4 occasions what the reckoning looks like from outside the atmosphere with instruments that measure civilizational collapse, and they have chosen treasure over continuity, and that's a data point we're entered into 47 other case files we have centered on the question of why sapient species self-immolate. We haven't found an answer, but the pattern won't abate. Something in the architecture of a mind that knows it's mortal keeps choosing to immediate when standing at the portal. We'll return when the magnetic shift completes its current cycle. Your compasses are drifting and your birds are losing title to the navigation instinct that they've carried through the ages. Something's moving underneath the surface and it stages itself approximately every 26 millennia. We've seen it 4 times here and twice in parallel phenomena. Maine was just a Tuesday in a schedule without ending. 4 units by a fire on a lake that needed tending. We put them back precisely where we found them, give or take a few degrees of memory that always come back opaque. Not to hide ourselves, but because what they saw was something that the human nervous system processes as nothing.